Hello and welcome to Huff Goes to the Movies. My name is Eric Huffman II. Most people call me Huff. Some people know that I love going to the movies. And Creed 3 is in theaters today. It is the third, obviously, of the Creed spin-off series and the ninth film in the Rocky franchise. This is the first movie in the series to not feature Sylvester Stallone as Rocky. In fact, Rocky makes absolutely no appearances in this film. This one is solely about Adonis Creed, played by Michael B. Jordan, who is actually making his directorial debut with this movie. And right off the bat, we will address the no Rocky situation. So Sylvester Stallone is in a bit of a dispute with one of the producers of the film, someone who has sort of been in the Rocky franchise for many, many years. That guy has a bit more control over the franchise than Sylvester Stallone, even though Sylvester Stallone is Rocky. But upon not getting, I guess, the controlling stake that he wanted, Sylvester Stallone refused to be a part of Creed 3, and so they were left to tell a story that did not have Rocky in it. And if your loyalty is to Sylvester Stallone and you think this is nuts and you can't see a Rocky movie without Rocky, I get it. But as far as the film we actually got, I have to say I'm impressed. Michael B. Jordan, as a first-time director, really has a win here. And I won't say that the film is perfect or that it's great, but I think that he brings his own distinct style to this film. That's something that this franchise probably could have used all along. Michael B. Jordan has said in numerous interviews that his love of anime was going to be an influence in how he did the fight choreography in this film. And you can see that influence playing out not just in the fights, but in some of the cinematography as well. There are definitely those shots that in any other context, you might think that is odd. But if you're someone that loves anime and you see it play out in live action, you go, oh, okay, nice touch. This film is very much a Creed story. And while I really liked the first Creed and I liked how it bridged that gap of telling the story of Adonis and him trying to have a relationship with someone who knew his father that he never got to meet, I think that Creed 2, while good, is very much kind of a Rocky movie because of the Drago element. I mean, yes, Adonis is in it, but it very much feels like it is in service to the previous Rocky films. But with Creed 3, this is very much Adonis' story, and I think that in giving him an opponent in Jonathan Majors' Damian Anderson, it really does push this character to the forefront in a way that he hasn't been in the previous two films. And while there are some moments in the plot that feel a bit rushed, a bit underdeveloped, I think that keeping the focus on these two characters, Adonis and Damian, it really helps to overlook some of those flaws. And the fight choreography here is, you know, it's different. I mean, it has its own distinct look to it. And I think that's something that this franchise has certainly always needed. And I think it's interesting that with a set of different directors, each of the Creed films has had its own distinct look, its own distinct tone to it, and it's good to see that Michael B. Jordan was able to sort of step in the, he was sort of able to step in place of Ryan Coogler and Stephen Caple Jr., and he was really able to establish something on his own with this. But the star of this show is absolutely Jonathan Majors. Aside from the fact that he is a physical force to be reckoned with, the way that he plays Damian in this film, one moment you love him, one moment you despise him, and his dynamic with Michael B. Jordan is one that is just always interesting. You always want to learn more about their past, about what they dealt with growing up, about the circumstances involving why there was a distance in that relationship for so many years. And as Damian comes into contact with more people that Adonis knows, you really start to see that Adonis has his blinders on and that there are some things that he's done in his past that he is not willing to confront immediately, and that's clouding his judgment. And it really makes the tension in this film sort of ratchet up to this peak before we get to that final fight. And without saying too much, I really do think that Dame stands definitely head and shoulders above Victor Drago and Ricky Conlon as far as opponents in the Creed franchise. But I think that he's one of the standouts of any of the Rocky movies. I think that this is definitely one of the more interesting opponents that has ever sort of been presented in the Rocky series. And the way that Jonathan Majors plays that character, I really hope that there are plans for him to stick around a little while longer. I think that that relationship between these two characters, it's going to be very different from the relationship between Rocky and Apollo Creed in the earlier films, but I think that that's sort of the blueprint that these two characters could follow. Maybe not that they become the best of friends, but that it's a relationship that stays interesting, that stays fascinating, and that makes these films stand out as more than just typical boxing movies. So I had a really good time with it. I didn't even say anything about the rest of the returning cast. Tessa Thompson, good as always. Phylicia Rashad, great. Wood Harris is always really good in this role as Duke. And so, yeah, I mean, this feels like a really solid addition to the Creed franchise. It stands on its own. And while Rocky is not in it, and they do make slight mention of him, it's never distracting. It's never this glaring hole in the narrative. This really is a Creed film. And all the credit in the world to Michael B. Jordan as a first-time director to take on something like this that's part of a long-running, beloved franchise, and to be able to handle it with this much style and this much confidence. That's no small feat. And I think that if we get a Creed 4, I would be interested to see what other filmmakers they might try to bring into the fold. Or if Michael B. Jordan wants to continue to, stretch his wings as a filmmaker, I'd be more than happy to see him come back and be in the director's chair. And for all these reasons, I would have to give Creed 3 a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So guys, did you already check out Creed 3? There were some advanced screenings earlier this week. Do you plan on seeing it this weekend? Whatever it is, join me in the comments, let me know. What are your thoughts on the other Creed films, and where do you think they rank when it comes to the rest of the Rocky franchise? Also, who are your favorite opponents that Rocky or Creed has ever faced against? Whatever it is, let me know. If you like what we're doing here, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. That way you can stay up to date on everything going on here. Once again, my name is Eric. Most people call me Huff. Stay sweaty, my friends. I will see you at the movies. Peace.